Welcome to That's Good Sports. I'm Brandon Perna, and yes, I picked all 3 Thanksgiving Day games last week with deadly accuracy. And now that we are on week 13 in the NFL, I'm just going to focus on the few important games. Like, why the fuck would I waste my time talking about the Giants and Raiders game or the Chiefs and Jets game, even though the Chiefs and Raiders are in a tight playoff race to be one of the first teams to be bounced from the AFC playoffs. Who loses first if they get in? The Chiefs, Chargers, or Raiders? This episode is sponsored by BetDSI.com, one of the best sports books out there. There's a link in the description, and if you use my code GOOD25, BetDSI is giving you $25 free to bet with. That's free money that you can turn into more money. Can you imagine any deal better than that? A chance to turn free money into more money? I can't. You can bet on any sport, any game at BetDSI. So this week, we got the 9-2 Vikings at the 7-4 Atlanta Falcons. The Vikings remain the one team who has big matchups over the last few weeks. Now they play the Falcons and are 3-point underdogs. I know Atlanta has been hot, winning 3 in a row against the Cowboys, Seahawks, and Buccaneers, but all of those teams have major flaws. The Vikings will be the best team Atlanta has faced since the Patriots stomped them 23-7. And the Vikings defense makes the Patriots defense look the way real Vikings made the monks of Lindisfarne look when they began to ransack Britain following the Germanic Iron Age. History! The Falcons' top corner, Desmond Trufant, is in concussion protocol. If he doesn't play, I think Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen will have a big day. The reason the Falcons may be favored is not the return of running back Devontae Freeman or Julio Jones coming off a monster day, but because of that Falcons defensive line. Claiborne, Poe, Jarrett, Reed, Shelby, all playing great football right now, and the Vikings' biggest weakness is their offensive line, which should tell you how good Case Keenum has been this season. I think a big reason Atlanta is tough to pass against right now is because of the pressure they're getting with their front 7. Minnesota is giving up 75.5 rush yards per game, second best in the NFL, which is fine because Atlanta can beat any team through the air, but I think with 10 days rest, the Vikings' defensive line will be a little better than Atlanta's at making a difference in the game. Plus, the Falcons' defense has struggled on third down, and I think Case Keenum will keep long drives alive in hot Atlanta. Like I said, this is the game I'm betting on this week, and I'm taking the Vikings, not only to cover the 3-point spread, but to beat the Falcons. So I think this is a safe bet. Kinda. There's no such thing. The only disadvantage Minnesota has is that they are on a 7-game win streak. And after Eli Manning got benched, this doesn't seem like a good week for streaks to continue. And if Atlanta wins, I think they become a legitimate playoff threat because Minnesota, in my opinion, is the second best team in the NFC behind the Eagles. Should be a fun game to watch, but the Vikings will eat the Falcons to survive their long voyage across the NFL seas, hopefully ransacking NFL headquarters and eating Goodell's heart during the Super Bowl. That's what I want to see the Vikings do, eat his bloody fucking heart in front of all of our eyes. We've got the 6-5 Lions at the, God, I can't believe I'm saying this, 6-5 Ravens. And the Ravens are 3-point favorites at home. At times, the Ravens have appeared to have the best defense in the NFL, and at other times have appeared to be the equivalent of the Cleveland Browns fucking scout team. I'm not sure if this will be a good game, but both teams will be pounding bottles of Ambien to keep their playoff dreams alive. I can't believe I'm saying this either. I think the Ravens are going to win this game. This is a matchup nightmare for the Detroit Lions. Baltimore is very hard to pass against. They're giving up the second best, 189.9 yards per game, and have a league-leading 18 interceptions. The Lions rely on the pass for success. Matthew Stafford, I think, is going to struggle to pick apart this defense. And since Detroit can't run the ball still, I don't see them being able to exploit the one weakness the Ravens defense has, which is stopping the run. And it's not even a big weakness. The reason this game will be close is because Baltimore's offense is terrible. Detroit's defense is decent at rushing the passer, but inconsistent against the pass and run. I expect to see Joe Flacco knocked on his ass a few times by Ziggy Ansah, and maybe Detroit's most underrated player, Anthony Zettel, really coming into his own in his second year. I'm picking the Ravens to win though, like I said, because of their defense. They just played the Texans, who are 9th worst against the pass. Detroit is 10th worst, but Flacco against those Texans only managed 141 passing yards. This is the furthest thing from a slam dunk pick, but I'll stick with the Ravens despite having the most average QB, most average receivers, most average running backs, and most average offensive line in the NFL, possibly ever. Average Joe Flacco. The 8-3 Panthers at the 8-3 Saints, and the Saints are 4.5-point favorites at home. I thought that this could be a bounce back game for the Saints. Early in the week, it looked like they were gonna get both of their starting corners back, which they really need to continue to win, but now that doesn't look like it's gonna happen. They might get one. But saying the Saints are winning with good defense and a strong run game, it doesn't feel right. It's almost like saying World Series champions, the Chicago Cubs, President Trump, or sexual predator Charlie Rose from PBS. They're just things you never expected to say. Right now, the Saints need to stay healthy. That's their biggest enemy, because if they hit the playoffs with good health, they are built to win. Solid defense, best rushing attack in the league, including Rookie of the Year candidate Alvin Kamara. He's the biggest beneficiary of Deshaun Watson getting hurt, unless he loses out to his teammate, cornerback Marshon Lattimore, who, in my opinion, should win Rookie of the Year if he can get healthy and finish out the season strong. Corners never get love as rookies, is what I'm saying, and he's playing pretty good football. So solid defense, great rushing attack, and what else do they have? Oh yeah, Drew fucking Brees. The Saints' 2017 draft was perfect. I mean, just look, picks 1, 2, 3, and 4, home runs. Those are starters, and linebacker Trey Hendrickson has been pretty damn good too. So that's crazy to hit on that many draft picks. But this game, the Panthers and Saints, both at 8-3, this is a huge divisional game. The Panthers may have Greg Olsen back this week despite re-aggravating his foot injury in his return. Christian McCaffrey is finding his stride. The Panthers defense is ranked 8th against scoring and 3rd against rushing. So that's what this really is going to boil down to, right? Who do you bet on? A great run defense or a great rushing attack? History says bet on the defense, but it's the 3rd best versus the 3rd best, with 2 QBs who have each played in 1 Super Bowl. If Marshon Lattimore does not play, I think Carolina wins. Well, no, hell with it. I'm gonna take the Saints regardless. Cam Newton is inconsistent, kind of annoying. Saints. I say give me the Saints. And we have the 10-1 Eagles at the 7-4 Seahawks. I only mention this game because the Eagles are on a 9-game win streak, and they haven't played a strong opponent in a month and a half. Philadelphia's last 4 opponents, 49ers, Broncos, Cowboys, and Bears. Besides the Broncos' 23 points, all 3 of those opponents have scored 10 points or less, and the Broncos got a defensive touchdown when they put in backup quarterback Nick Foles. Seattle is banged up with Richard Sherman and Cliff Averill both on IR. Cam Chancellor close to being the next man on that list with his neck injury. I don't believe, even if they get into the playoffs, the Seahawks will win a game, but I do believe Russell Wilson could cause problems for the Eagles' defense. He's found ways to succeed even with a shit O-line, even when everything looks like it's going wrong. Again, with the Eli Manning benching, this could be the week all streaks come to an end, which includes Philly's 9-game win streak. Could, if you believe in superstitious shit like I do. However, I'm gonna pick the Eagles to win 10 in a row because they are running the ball well. Blunt and Ajayi can take care of that crowd noise in Seattle. The Eagles' defense is the best against the run in the league. Seattle doesn't do that very well anyway, but that's also due to the fact that Philly gets early leads on teams. Seattle will be forced to throw a lot, and even with teams throwing a lot against that Philly D, they are 17th in yards allowed. which isn't bad if you realize they probably see the pass more than most teams. They also have 16 interceptions, second best in the league, and hold opposing quarterbacks to a passer rating of 74, third best. They're tied for third with 31 sacks and are third best, only giving up 17.4 points per game. They're dominating in the important categories, and when Philly starts slow or struggles, they keep the game close until Wentz goes on a tear. Philadelphia is a complete fucking team. Seattle isn't right now, but they're always competitive. I don't know how, but they are. Those are the only games I'm interested in, but I will be curious to watch Jimmy Garoppolo in his first start for the 49ers. That'll be intriguing. He faces the Bears, and despite how shitty they are, they do have a respectable defense. Trubisky versus Garoppolo could be a preview of an NFC Championship game in 2020. You heard it first here on That's Good Sports. Put it in your little diary and note it. 2020, Garoppolo versus Trubisky. Josh Gordon finally returns to the NFL this weekend. Hell yeah, Joshy baby. Not since Jay-Z have I wanted to see a former drug dealer succeed so much. I expect Gordon to return to being a dominant receiver in the league, but not on Sunday. Cleveland's tackles, Spencer Drango and Sean Coleman, will not be giving DeShone Kizer time to throw the ball against Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa. No fucking way. So I think we won't get a good look at Josh Gordon until next week when the Browns play the Packers. Thanks for watching another episode of That's Good Sports. Subscribe here on YouTube. Share the videos on Facebook. Please spread the word if you think, God, this guy, Brandon Perna, he's doing okay for some asshole in his basement talking about football. Just spread the word. Vikings, Falcons. I keep going back and forth on who I think is going to win this game.